You read the headlines. Subic Bay is back. The Americans returned, the alliance is restored, and the great naval station that shut down in 1992 is once again a fortress facing China. You watched the warships dock. You saw the joint exercises. You concluded that the most important shipyard on the South China Sea is back under control. The Pentagon owns none of it. The Philippine Navy does not own it either. To operate inside its own most important shipyard, the Navy pays rent. The landlord is a private equity fund in New York. Here is the fact the headlines skip. The most strategically located shipyard on the South China Sea is not a base. It is real estate. A 300-hectare commercial lot inside the Subic Freeport, bought out of bankruptcy by Cerberus Capital Management, a New York fund that manages tens of billions of dollars. Everyone you picture standing on that pier, the Philippine Navy, a Korean shipbuilder, a subsea cable company, an American defense contractor, is a tenant. Their presence does not run through a treaty. It runs through a lease, and a lease has terms, a price, and an expiry. Start with the picture in your head. Subic Bay Naval Station, the largest American naval base in the Pacific, shut down in 1992 after the Philippine Senate refused to renew the base's agreement. 3 decades later, the ships are back, so the mind fills in the rest. The base returned. It did not. What returned is commerce. The old base became a freeport, a commercial zone run by the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority. The shipyard inside it is not a military installation. It is a private parcel governed by leases and supply contracts, the same legal machinery as a shopping mall, not a status of forces agreement. When a US Navy ship pulls into Subic today, it is making a port call into a commercial harbor, not returning to a sovereign base. So the question that decides this site is not which flag flies over it. It is whose name is on the title and what the lease permits. The belief you can let go of now is the simplest one, that the warships in the water mean the ground beneath them is American or even Philippine government soil. In 2019, the yard collapsed. Hanjin Heavy Industries, the Korean builder that ran it, defaulted on roughly $1.3 billion in loans and walked away. About $412 million of that was owed to 5 Philippine banks: RCBC, Land Bank, Metro Bank, BPI, and BDO. Tens of thousands of jobs disappeared. The largest industrial site in the Freeport went dark and stayed dark for 3 years. Then it was bought, not rescued by the state, not nationalized, not handed to the Navy, bought. In April 2022, Cerberus Capital Management, a New York fund managing tens of billions of dollars, completed the purchase for approximately $300 million through 2 holding companies created for the deal: Agila NY Naval and Agila South. The most strategic shipyard on the South China Sea changed hands the way a foreclosed building does. A distressed asset specialist bought a collapse at a discount. That reframes everything that follows. The owner is not a navy and not a ministry. It is a fund whose entire business is buying troubled assets, improving them, and selling them at a profit. The belief to bury here is the one that feels obvious, that something this strategic must be held by a government. It is held by an investor, and an investor bought it to exit it. So who commands the yard? The instinct says the Philippine Navy. It has set up its largest base ever on the site, Naval Operating Base Subic, with plans to berth its most modern warships there. But a base is not the same as ownership. The Navy occupies the northern section of the property as a tenant. It began leasing that ground from Cerberus in 2022, and the part that should stop you is geographic. The 2 large dry docks, the heavy industrial heart of the yard, are not inside the Navy's lease. They sit with the landlord and its commercial tenants. The Navy holds the apartment. It does not hold the building. Here is the one thing no one can confirm, and it is the most important thing on the page. The exact terms of that lease, its length, its price, and what happens to it if the property is sold are not public. So the Philippine Navy's tenure at its own primary base rests on a private contract that the public has never seen. State that plainly. A Navy that does not control the terms of its own presence is not in command of the ground. It is occupying it on conditions set by someone else. The belief to drop is that a fleet at a pier proves authority over the pier. Whenever Subic comes up, one acronym does the heavy lifting: EDCA, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, the deal that lets American forces rotate through Philippine military bases. People reach for it to explain everything happening at Subic. It explains none of it. EDCA applies to designated facilities of the armed forces of the Philippines. The Subic shipyard is not one of them. It is private commercial property, and it has never been designated an EDCA site. The treaty's machinery, the rotational access, the agreed locations, the construction rights, simply does not reach this pier. And here is the part that inverts the whole assumption. The shipyard's value to the American military comes precisely from the fact that EDCA does not govern it. In early 2026, ahead of the Balikatan exercises, the US Army offloaded trucks and helicopters directly onto this lot, staging through a privately owned yard rather than a treaty-bound base, because a commercial landlord can move faster and with fewer constraints than a status of forces framework allows. The access is real. The legal road to it is a lease, not a treaty. The belief to abandon is that EDCA is the key to Subic. The key is a commercial contract with a private owner, and EDCA was never in the lock. Call it a shipyard, and you have already lost the plot. On this single 300-hectare lot, 4 different strategic systems operate side by side under one owner. First, the Philippine Navy's primary base. Second, large-scale shipbuilding. HD Hyundai, one of the largest shipbuilders on Earth, has signed a 10-year lease for 200 hectares of the yard and says it will invest about $550 million over that decade to build up to 10 vessels a year and employ around 7,000 people at full capacity. Third, Subcom, a builder and layer of the subsea fiber optic cables that carry the world's data and financial traffic. Fourth, V2X, an American defense contractor running logistics and sustainment, naval power, shipbuilding capacity, the physical internet, and US military logistics, stacked on one parcel of private land roughly 120 nautical miles off the Zambales coast, inside the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, facing the most contested shoal in the region. Each of these alone would make the site matter. Together, on one deed, they make it a single point of leverage. And every one of those 4 tenants answers on the question of staying or going to the same landlord. The belief to give up is that this is a coincidental cluster of businesses. It is a concentration, and concentration is exactly what makes a place worth controlling. Now the part that should keep a strategist awake. This arrangement is treated as permanent. It is not. It is a position in an investment portfolio. If you value calm, in-depth explanations like this, subscribe to Beneath Systems for more videos that uncover the systems shaping our world. Cerberus does not build things to hold them forever. Its model, like that of any distressed asset fund, is to buy low, add value, and sell. It has already announced another $250 million in upgrades and projects, lifting its total commitment to around $550 million. That is not sentiment. That is a fund raising the value of an asset it will eventually move. The improvements make the eventual sale more lucrative, not less likely. And when that sale comes, what governs it? Look at how the last one was decided. In 2018 and 2019, when the bankrupt yard was on the market, Chinese firms were interested. The thing that kept them out was not a Philippine national security law screening foreign buyers of strategic assets. No such statute was triggered. What kept them out was political preference, pressure and steering from officials who wanted an American buyer. That is a choice, not a lock, and a choice made once can be unmade or simply not repeated by the next set of officials facing the next sale. So, without the cushion, there is no publicly confirmed legal mechanism, no golden share, no veto written into the deal that forces this shipyard to stay in friendly hands the next time it trades. The security of the most strategic yard in the Philippines rests on a private fund choosing not to sell to the wrong buyer, and on a government choosing again to intervene. The belief you have to surrender is the most comfortable one of all, that because an American firm owns it today, the asset is aligned with American and Philippine interests by design. The alignment is a coincidence of who bid highest in 2022. It is not built into the title, and the title can move. Step back, and the Subic story stops being about one shipyard. It is a template. Across the Indo-Pacific, the most important infrastructure is changing hands without a shot fired, through leases and acquisitions rather than invasions. China took an effective 99-year lease on the port of Hambantota in Sri Lanka when Colombo could not service its debt. China built and operates its commercial port facilities at Djibouti, next door to an American base. The lesson everyone drew was that this was a Chinese method, debt and leases as a path to strategic ground. Subic is the same method, run the other way. A Western-aligned private fund holds the deed to a frontline asset, and the Philippine and American positions there depend on that fund's commercial decisions. Whoever holds the lease and whoever holds the title holds the leverage. The map of bases and treaties that everyone uses to read this region describes less and less of what actually controls the ground. For 30 years, the story of Subic Bay was told in the language of empires and alliances. Who left, who returned, whose flag flew over the bay. That language now describes the surface and misses the substance. The single most strategic shipyard on the South China Sea is a line item in a New York fund. Its future will not be decided in a treaty chamber or a defense ministry. It will be decided in a boardroom on the day that fund decides the asset has matured and it is time to sell. The question for everyone who lives in the shadow of that shoal is not which navy will protect the yard. It is who will own it next, and whether anyone has the power to choose. If this video gave you a clearer way to understand the world beneath the surface, subscribe to Beneath Systems for more deep dives every week.